What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to do a nice, fun, entertaining video about my reaction on the release of the reboot of iCarly. It's still going to be called iCarly, but now it's 8 years later with most, not all, of the cast returning. Now, some hardcore fans are very excited. Some people probably in the middle. They're kind of excited, but they were just kind of meh fans of the show, watched episodes here and there, and weren't a huge fan. They'll still probably check out the new reboot. And I want to give my thoughts on it. I want to give my history as well on my first experience with it and my thoughts on whether this reboot is going to be a success. So first off, nostalgia is so huge. Nostalgia is why Pokemon cards sell so well, and that's why a lot of people are going to watch this show. 8 years later, they've grown, they've become adults. It's a magical thing to grow up with your favorite characters. Miranda Cosgrove, Jerry Trainer, a lot of people are returning to the show that many of us saw as kids. On the flip side, most of the people I knew who watched the show, they liked it, but they were never like hardcore fans. So I don't know how big it's really going to be, but it's really cool that this is coming to Paramount Plus and to kind of see where it goes. Now, to go back to a little history lesson on my experience with the show. When it first came out, I was pretty skeptical, and I remained skeptical about the show for a while, even though I watched quite a few episodes of various seasons before it just got off the rails, and I couldn't keep up with the episodes, and every episode was kind of the same thing, so I stopped after a while. But I found it entertaining, and the issue was, this was a time when the show launched. This was a time where I saw cable television was dying, and a lot of eyeballs were moving to social media. People were stopping to just watch cable and have to sit through these commercials to either go to on-demand cable or to go on to social media. YouTube and Twitter were big ones back then, and just entertain themselves that way. And so with all of this being said, it was incredible to see iCarly come out, because I thought of it as a last-ditch effort by this big conglomerate to try and change with the times. It was a good move because I guess the show was successful, but I found it a little kind of behind the times in a way, because I was very plugged into social media, and the way they pictured it in the show wasn't exactly how it was in real life. The show is basically about this group of friends who go viral and have this really large digital famous presence online. And all of this was something that I aspired to back then. I just found it kind of unnatural because they didn't really understand how it worked. They almost made it seem like, if you just watch the first few episodes, the amount of people who viewed their stuff and how quickly they went viral, and all of a sudden they're living it up, and they have all these viewers and subscribers and followers, like hundreds of thousands. That never happened, especially back in the day, where if you had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, you were one of the most subscribed YouTubers. So I found it was much more difficult than they pictured it. And the story made it seem like, it's just so easy. You throw on some talent shows and then you stream that, and then Freddie, the tech guy, somehow has access to thousands of dollars of tech equipment, and all these things just happen. And so I think, long story short, it was kind of ridiculous, but I'm still excited to see this come back. The nostalgia, it's not just about the show. It's about the bonds, the connections that we have with each other. And we like to bond off nostalgia, on things that we can both relate to, that memories we can both reminisce on. And so I think it's very magical to have this show that many people were used to back in the day, and now we can have those memories together, and that was a stage in their lives, in our lives, and we can have that together, and that's a very special thing. And I love talking about nostalgia and relating to other people about it. Now, is this going to be the end-all be-all? Is this going to be The Office 2.0? Probably not. They already did Fuller House on Netflix. And here's the thing, nowadays the entertainment landscape is so splintered and so competitive. Back in the day, you had a less amount of choices. You didn't have thousands of YouTube channels to compete against. And it was for kids, for me back in the day, you would turn on the TV and it'd just be Nickelodeon, PBS, Disney Channel, and Cartoon Network. And whatever's playing, you'd have to watch. You couldn't fast forward, you couldn't skip past the commercials. And unfortunately, it's one of those inevitable things that happens through the progress of time. It sucks because I still feel young, I still feel like I'm young, and I'll always be young at heart. But unfortunately, like, things change. And the things that we just thought were normal, at some point, no matter how young you are now, at some point you're going to be telling your grandchildren or just children or just people of a younger generation how back in the day that's how you did it. And hopefully we won't be those cranky grandparents that say that, like, back in the day that's how I did it, you kids have it lucky. Because who really listens to it that way? And that's kind of annoying. But that aside, I think in terms of iCarly, another thing I want to discuss is that one of the main cast members, her character name is Sam, she's not returning to the show. And I did a little investigation on it, and I'm sure some people know more about it than I do. But it seems like from the rumors, she's currently going through a lot of tough things. She has been since childhood. She was a child star, and so she went through like eating disorders, unhappiness issues, and now she's exploring minimalism and all these other forms of kind of, you can all call it enlightenment or whatnot, to really improve her situation. So from a mental standpoint, I think, she made the right choice. It's not always just about the money or whatnot, and she needed to kind of take that time to recover. And it seems like this has been many years that she's been working on this. And she has her own YouTube channel with 500,000 subscribers where she's kind of breaking that down. Now it doesn't seem like she's directly addressed outright why she's not returning to the show on her channel, but you can already tell from her other videos that this is something, and good on her. I think it's important to emphasize mental health and so forth, and it seems like, clearly money and fame are not always the most important things. You can have all that and still feel terrible or destroyed inside or unhappy, and so it's great that she's addressing that. It also seems like the other cast members are mentally healthy, fresh, ready to go, and so that's great. Some people, they're ready, they're good to go, they're on point for that reboot. Others, just because of maybe their life situation, it seems like she had a very strange, tough relationship with her mother, who seemed to demand a lot from her, that she had to struggle through. So wishing her the best, and I think overall it's a good issue. Your mental health, your general health is more important than just some reboot of a show. And so she was a very big character, had a very sassy, clear, tomboyish attitude and personality on the show, which really made it unique and stand out. So it will be a little bit of a bummer that she's not there, but life will move on, and maybe in a few years, if she wants to return for a guest appearance, she can. If not, it's not the biggest deal. So I think there's so much nostalgia out there that I would love to see more of a reboot of. There's so many shows, so many things from my childhood that I'd love to see come back in some way, whether that's a Hannah Montana reboot with Miley Cyrus, or Wizards of Waverly Place with Selena Gomez, or maybe something with Dexter's Lab, or Samurai Jack did technically already get a reboot, or some of those other shows. SpongeBob, is that still going on? SpongeBob I loved. There's a lot of shows. Hey Arnold, Doug was a big one, Arthur, a lot of really good shows that I would love to see come back in some way, shape, or form. Recess was another one. So man, I love to see that, and I know there's a lot of people out there who can relate. I thought I was getting old and no one could relate, but I was surprised to find people in person in real life that could relate to those things. Shout out to RDC World on YouTube, and a few people I met in person who like that type of stuff. So that's what I gotta say. Let me know, what are your favorite shows? What are your favorite nostalgic trips? Is it Dragon Ball Z? I remember watching that on Toonami, man. The narrator's voice was so deep and dark. It was epic. And yeah, I really, Powerpuff Girls, man, remember, that's a throwback. Powerpuff Girls, my gosh, what a throwback. And those were the days, man, where, I mean, it was honestly kind of better because you didn't have all these thousands of YouTube channels bombarding you that you had to choose from. You basically on Friday nights, you had like two choices, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. And they would have like Friday night specials where they would go ham. Like they would release all these new episodes. They would count down to them. And then like the characters from each would kind of like give little intros, almost like hosts, to kind of tease the next episode that was about to release. Shaolin Showdown was another one back when WB Kids still existed before they merged into CW. WB Kids had a lot of great shows. Jackie Chan Adventures, that's a throwback that most people don't realize. Jackie Chan had an animated TV show that was incredible. You would collect these stone talismans and it would be epic. So much nostalgia there, and nowadays I don't really get to talk about it much with a lot of people. I mean, it's hard to bring up. Even people of same year as I was, same age. Sometimes it's tough because you dig into it and turns out they don't never really watched much, or sometimes they do watch some of it and you're really excited, but other times it's like, wow, they only watch sports when they're young. So that's that, and man, love the nostalgia. I think there's so many things that we can bring back in some way that would just be so magical. I personally would love a That 70s Show reunion. I personally found That 70s Show better than a lot of things. Maybe even a contender with The Office and Friends. So, I mean, my dream would be to kind of sing the theme song with all the cast in a car. So that'd be great. Thanks for watching.